have Collins Odhiambo from Numerical Machining Complex, and we have Mohamed Doyo from our Songiro Development Authority. For housekeeping, please keep your mics muted and videos off, except if you are a speaker in the program to avoid interruptions. I'd like to encourage us to also post our questions in the chat section. This will be addressed at a later stage because we might not have much time to address them during this session. Maybe an introduction. Manufacturing presents a very high potential for employment creation, export expansion, stimulus for agricultural sector, and it's a major platform for the diffusion of new technologies to other sectors of the Kenyan economy through backward and forward linkages. However, we've seen in the past like 10 years that the GDP has remained below 10%. And now we have an agenda under the government to increase its contribution from the current 7.2% to 20% by 2030. So this calls for more investment into industrial activity and a shift from reliance on importation of finished products or even export of predominantly primary commodities with low value addition to a focus on increased local production through value chain integration. So at this point, you'll allow me to invite one of our speakers. I don't know if Charles Ndungu has joined. Charles Ndungu. In the absence of Charles Ndungu, allow me to invite Mr. Mohamed Doyo to make a presentation. Kindly welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bwana Vincent, for the opportunity. My name is Mohamed Doyo, and I am from Songiro North Development Authority, one of the 6 regional development authorities in the Republic of Kenya. And our mandate involves spurring integrated development within river basins and respective jurisdiction. And one thing that is common in this area in terms of manufacturing is that this area is predominant with livestock resources and opportunities. We have plenty of animals, we have plenty of livestock, we have minerals, among many other resources that are in arid areas. So I'll quickly do a presentation of a proposed project that our Songiro North Development Authority wants to undertake, the Northern Kenya Central Meat Processing Factory. And this project is modeled along the PPP line, PPP model, that is public-private partnership. And we call it the Northern Kenya Central Meat Processing Factory. So I'll rush through it kindly. The presentation is controlled from the other end, so let's move. What is this factory about? I had explained who we are. The Songiro North River Basin Development Authority has the mandate to plan, coordinate, and implement development projects and programs in the Songiro North River Basin and catchment areas, which comprises 36.4% of the Kenyan area in terms of the land size. And so we are seeking to develop a modern meat processing factory in northern Kenya. This factory will have an annual slaughtering capacity of 72,000 cattle, 300,000 sheep, goats, and 12,000 camels established. We also seek to establish a byproduct processing line, that is leather hose bones. And the projected revenue in USD is 2.96 million in the third year increasing. I think all of us can see the figures as projected. And why are we are positioning ourselves as ended to attract investments for this large-scale initiative for the following reasons. One is the potential to improve Kenyan's competitiveness as a reliable source of red meat, reduce the low surplus meat from the northern part of, and to increase export of meat and livestock, major market for the meat industries. Proceed. Next slide. So in terms of this industry in Kenya, in terms of meat processing, the livestock sector in Kenya accounts for 10 to 15% of the GDP, and about 30% of agricultural GDP, and employs 50% of the agricultural labor force. The livestock resource base, that should have been 2018, was estimated at 12.5 million cattle, 10 million sheep, and 12 million goats, and 0.9. And the livestock resource in 2019 was estimated about 13 million indigenous cattle. You can see the figures. And we are seeking private sector partners to invest 25 million US dollars initial investment, covering capex and opex, that is capital expenditure. And tax include movable and immovable assets comprising of figures as indicated in the section, and of NPV and I. Expected to reach a net present value of USD 47.7 million. The figures are indicated to read through them. That, and we seek us to invest through the development and operation of this modern meat processing factory with that capacity, 1,000 cattle, 300 sheep and goats, and 1,000 Next slide.
Mohammed, you have 4 minutes.
Next slide, kindly. Okay, I think I'll take lesser than 4 minutes. And why do we want to put up a modern meat processing factory in Kenya? For the following reasons. I think I had explained that in my preliminary introduction. To contribute to the development of rural communities, to contribute to employment and northern Kenya development, of course, long-term impact, while at the same time we stimulate economic activities in the area for the pastoralist groups, reduce poverty, attain food security, as well as generate income from the project. Next slide. That's a projection on
We are losing you, Mohammed.
Growing faster than local production, and so Kenya's demand for meat and livestock products is projected to rise quickly, and as you see,
Mohammed, we are completely losing you.
Continues to increase. Can you hear me now?
We are losing you. Your internet is not stable.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, kindly conclude.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Kindly conclude. You have 2 minutes
Problem
remaining.
with network. Can you hear me now? I can hear you from the... Okay, I think I'll share presentation that I'm saying I clicked for...
Can I go ahead with the slide, with the presentation?
Max is this region has a high value potential for animals and life. Proceed with the slide. That's basically how the project will be implemented in phases. We have our figures captured, and we know what is supposed to be done at what. So we'll be sharing this presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. Kindly, our speakers ensure that your internet is stable so that we avoid interruptions. Thank you, Mohammed, for that insightful presentation on the opportunities presented within this Regional Development Authority. Allow me to get to our next speaker, Mr. Charles Ndungu from the Kenya Leather Development Corporation, representing the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Livestock. This is one of the key value chains that the government is focusing on. And so allow me to invite Mr. Charles Ndungu to take us through the opportunities in this particular sector. Welcome. You have 7 minutes.
Thank you, members. My name is Charles Ndungu, as said, from Kenya Leather Development Council. So I'll take you through the areas of investment across the value chain. And members, following up on what we have heard about animal slaughter, as the country moves towards commercialization of livestock farming, so as we can be able to have enough leather, we're also looking at where we are in terms of leather development. And so currently, as a country, we are producing 3 million hides. We're also producing around 18 million skins. And we have a growing production of what we call leather from exotic animals, that is mostly crocodiles and ostrich. So when you look at that value chain, all the way from production to processing to manufacturing, there are key areas where there are clear investment opportunities. So if you look at the area of production, that's where slaughtering, hides and skins collection takes place. There are clear indications that we need more slaughterhouses. And not only slaughterhouses, we need more modern slaughterhouses that are mechanized. So that's a big opportunity for investment. So as we can be able to move away and to move on and harvest our animals and commercialize the meat sector, just like my friend has just concluded. And then when you look at that move towards modernization of slaughterhouses, it creates a new opportunity in the value chain in terms of mechanization. The more slaughterhouses we have, the more equipment we have. So there is an opportunity that we can start even manufacturing or fabricating equipment for slaughterhouses. And I think that will be big as a meat industry grows. And that will be a key area where investors can come in, so that instead of relying on imported machines and equipment, we can be able to manufacture them locally. And the market is growing. And also that also goes together with the spare parts bit of it. So that's a big opportunity. So we move to the next level of leather processing. Currently, out of the 3 million hides we are processing, we are producing, we have capacity of only 50%. That is 1.5 million hides. So there's a market, there's a potential to establish more tanneries that can produce the other 1.5 million hides produced annually, and skins we are producing 18 million shillings, 18 million pieces. So that's a beautiful, there's a big opportunity in terms of leather development. And also, the current status of the industry is we are doing semi-processing. 80% of the leather we are making is semi-processed, either wet brew or crust. So there's a big opportunity for people who can be able to establish tanneries just to finish what is already processed. This is the next step. This is the next move towards leather development that we would want as a country not to move away from semi-processing to full processing. And I think the tanner, we have capacities, we have space that can be utilized and for that. We also look at the issue of chemicals. As a tanning sector grows, more tanneries come in. That means the demand for various chemicals used in other industries will also grow. Most of the country, we are importing almost 90% of our chemicals. The government would want to manufacture at least 70% of those chemicals locally. That means the opportunity for making the chemicals, tanning chemicals in the country exists. So that at the processing level, we also have the same issue about equipment and machinery, that the tannery uses a lot of equipment. We would want, to have companies that can be able to manufacture the spare parts locally, and then we move on to fabrication of spare parts. That is also a big investment opportunities, because if you look beyond Kenya, across the East African region, probably all the way to Comesa, all the tanneries that exist are relying on imported machinery and spare parts. I think that creates a huge potential for us to invest there. And then if you go to the next stage of the leather value chain, that's where the product manufacturing is done. Currently, our estimate for production of footwear starts around 8 to 10 million pairs of shoes every year, against a national demand of about 6 million pairs. That means even as we sit here, we have a shortfall of almost 20 million pairs of shoes. And that creates a very big investment opportunity for people to make shoes. If you look further across Africa, across East Africa, they have the same deficits. That means investment opportunities in footwear production in the country is quite viable. So apart from that one, we have the other issue, the other area of products, that is the other products and footwear products. And we have a growing market, we have a growing demand for travel goods manufacturing. We are exporting a bit of it, but we are still not doing good enough. I think that's an area that we can also grow, especially for the European markets. Then also the other industry is slowly moving up to upholstery, that is in terms of manufacture of seats, both in the sofas in the houses, car, and also aircraft upholstery. That's a big potential area that we can be able to maximize. And now that we are even going further and doing local assembly of vehicles, I think there's an opportunity for the leather industry to support that by supplying high quality leather for the upholstery. I think we just need investors to come in and tap in on that market. Then we have the unexploited opportunity in clothing manufacturing. Kenya is not known for making either jackets or any other clothing. We would want to link up in the clothing industry. We also would want to link up in the fashion industry. And clothing aspect, another clothing manufacturing would be a big investment opportunity. We go further, we also look at the issues of manufacturing of personal accessories, the wallets, the purses, the clutch bags for ladies, and other small items. We are doing that, but not at a very high, not at a commercial level. I think there's a big opportunity whereby we can be able to have investors making those products, both for the local, regional, and international market, and that you have a big impact. And then we have the other one in terms of office accessories. The demand for for office accessories, computer bags, desk organizers, folders, even for hotel menu holders and all that, is a growing market. So that's another big opportunity that can be exploited by by investors, and especially because this is a high-end area where probably is easy to make money because the demand is growing.
Sorry, Charles, can you conclude in the next 1 minute?
Thank you. So we have also the issue of accessories. So in footwear, we need accessories. In leather bags, we need accessories. And to conclude, I want to bring out that as a country, we are developing the Kenya Leather Industrial Park in Kenani, Machakos, and we are looking forward for investment. This will be a leather specific industry. So you can have your tanneries there, you can have your footwear manufacturing there, even manufacturing of equipment and machinery will be accommodated. And currently we are completing the establishment of a common offering treatment as an incentive to support manufacturing. We also expect to have adequate power by proper roads so that proper manufacturers can have an easy way. We are doing all these to make sure that we reduce the cost of manufacturing in the country, specifically in the leather sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for sticking to your time. And thank you for dissecting the opportunities within this sector. This is quite insightful. Allow me now to jump onto the next speaker, Mr. Collins Odhiambo from Numerical Machining Complex. NMC was set up to catalyze industrialization in Kenya by leveraging on new technologies and even providing innovative solutions. So could you, Mr. Collins, just highlight some of the opportunities across some of the key value chains that you support? Please take the floor, 7 minutes. Mr. Collins?
Hello, sorry. There's a little bit of this disconnect. Thanks again for the opportunity. I'm here to inform you on what we engage in as Numerical Machining Complex. Now, this steel manufacturing company that was started in 1991 to help in the manufacture of vehicles. It was started when the current president, the president at that time, Daniel Arap Moi, wanted a car to be developed in Kenya. So through the University of Nairobi and Kenya Railways, research was done and a car was developed from scratch. Everything was made locally except for glasses and rubber that we had to buy. So everything was made in the workshops within the Kenya Railways yard. And now, if I can you please get to the next slide? Okay, the next one, please. Now, that's a picture of the Nyayo Pioneer. That's okay, leave it at that. A picture of the Nyayo Pioneer, the car that was developed. And fortunately, it didn't go into mass production because of logistical constraints. Next slide, please. But because of the machines that were bought for the car, we made good use of them to start the steel manufacturing and fabrication that we engage in. These are some of the products. Billets, you can see there on the left-hand side. We do engineering design. We have engineering design software. We do manufacture various machinery. Next slide, please. And now that gives a summary of all that we are engaged in, machining and fabrication. There are foundry castings, engineering services, a metallurgical lab where we can test for you the components in an element you are dealing with, plant maintenance, galvanizing. On the left-hand side, you can see we engage in computer-aided design, engineering software again there. Next slide, please. Now, this is our market share because of now what we engage in the engineering We have automotive, aviation, agricultural, construction, TVETs, military, energy, and the government agencies. We all support all these. Next slide, please. You can see there industrial spares like gears. We do electrical transmission clamps for Kenya Power and other power suppliers, machines for the industries, colleges and other engineering institutions. We do foundry castings. We are the main supplier of Kenya Railways for the brake blocks for their engines and wagons. There is our lab there where we do metallurgical testing of materials, engineering software there. Again, next slide, please. Again, some of the products we make: brake discs, suspension brackets, brake drums, saddles that Kenya Railways use mainly in their wagons to carry the round steel sheets that you see on railways and even on the roads. Next slide, please. Again, like I said, we engage in sale of engineering design software. These are mainly Autodesk products, ranging from AutoCAD, Inventor, Civil 3D for civil engineering, Revit for architects, and Fusion 360 that we use for manufacturing industry. Next slide, please. There again, the types of industry software that we have for product design, manufacturing, and for factory layout. We also support the architectural industry and other engineering firms. Then in media and entertainment, we can also give you softwares that you can use for modeling and animation and various visual effects. Next slide, please. Again, that's a summary of the software we engage in, which I've talked about. Next slide, please.
Kindly conclude.
Yes, okay. Just go through the slides. I can highlight the key points. Go to the end up to number 20. There's just some of the machines, that's okay. Okay, maybe just there, 1 minute I'll spend on the products we have currently that we have developed in our research firm. That's an ICU 3-crank bed that was developed during the COVID menace. The next slide, please. The benefits, you can go through that. The next one, please. A range of pumps which are very helpful in the agricultural industry. Mavuno pumps, they are petrol-driven engines and also electrical-driven pumps. Next slide, please. I think that should be the last. Next one. Brick makers used in the building industry. Again, diesel-driven and electrical, if you so want a choice of that. So basically, that's what we do. If you want some help in the engineering field, fabrication, or maybe something is broken down in your plant which you cannot get locally and you have to import, just come to us. We can reverse engineer it for you, or come with the sample. We take measurements and produce a new one for you. Thank you so much for this chance.
Thank you, Collins. NMC is a key partner when it comes to component manufacturing and modernization of machinery and even technologies in process engineering. So we thank you so much. I believe the audience, you've been able to just pick out a few of the opportunities presented in the session. In case you have any question, unfortunately, we are limited with time. Just post it in the chat section and we shall pick it out and respond to you accordingly. Now, in the interest of time, you will allow me to transition to the next segment of this session to discuss a key enabler to the achievement of the 4th Industrial Revolution. And so Mr. Boynet will take it up from here as your moderator. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Norman Boynet. I'm head of ICT, Kenya Investment Authority. This session, we're going to look at the ICT sector, and we're going to have 2 presentations, one from Konza Technopolis. Konza is one of the leading agencies responsible for facilitating investment into the ICT sector. Konza is a facility which is about 60 kilometers away from Nairobi. And we have Lillian Anthony Sang from Konza Technopolis representing Konza, and also have Lillian Kimeto from ICT Authority, an agency responsible for facilitating the development of the ICT industry in Kenya. So we'll start with Lillian to make a presentation. Then Anthony will follow up on his next presentation. So over to you, Lillian.
Thank you so much, Norman. I'll request that you help me to project my presentation.
Get a copy of it. So I think just proceed in the meantime presenting as I get a copy of it. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, and thank you everyone, and welcome to Kenya via this virtual roadshow. I speak to you in my capacity as the Deputy Director for Communications at the ICT Authority, and ours is just to be able to give you a feel today of how it feels like to invest in Kenya's ICT sector. Next slide, please. So this is just a high level of what our organization does. We are the only agency that is mandated to design and develop ICT infrastructure, to provide digital services, develop digital skills, and support ICT innovations and enterprise for government, and of course to enable that. And all this is expressed in the Kenya National Digital Master Plan, which is the framework that guides the delivery of ICT in Kenya currently. Thank you. Next slide. So at the moment, the government priorities for ICT are in those 4 areas. When the new administration came in under the bottom-up economic agenda, transformation agenda, one of the pillars is the digital superhighway. And so under that pillar of the digital superhighway, we have been mandated to deliver the digital superhighway, and this is basically ICT infrastructure, whether it's laying of fiber, whether it's installing of Wi-Fi and any other infrastructure. And the whole point is to get ICT infrastructure that is enabling e-commerce. ICT is always an enabler of other sectors. The other pillar is digital skills, building capacity. And earlier on, when I listened to Moria, he did give confirmation that there is adequate digital skills in the different areas in Kenya. And so even for an investor who would be keen on or asking themselves where digital skills are available locally, I think I want to give that comfort. The other area we look at or we take care of is cybersecurity capabilities of the government and basically sector. And this is just to ensure that when we are getting citizens online, we're also taking care of their own security, of citizens and of business entities online. So we have a robust cybersecurity capability. Next slide. Using this slide, I just gave a summary of how it looks, the flagship projects as defined in the master plan. And we can, from this slide, we can see that the thinking of what we expect, and these areas also, I picked them out because they are possible areas of investment. Whether it's digital literacy, whether it's capacity building for ICT for citizens, and for under the master plan, the intention is to have 20 million citizens trained, ICT professionals, also their capacity built or trained on high-end skills, and across the public service and other areas of civil servants who are at the heart of the digital economy and so require IT proficiency. Currently, the government is working on the smart ID card to provide person unique identifier. And so those are areas where people would be looking at. If you're an investor, we have the software and electronic industry. That is an area where investors would be looking at. We have intention as well of hosting an international ICT Expo, and I think it is. I just thought it's important to bring this up in this forum, even which is going to look at the December forum. If it can, that can be one of the takeouts. Kenya has harmonized a lot of its ICT policies and legislation, and that tells you that there is improved ease of doing ICT business in Kenya. And I've just said, talked about the master plan and the fact that there is effort to build critical infrastructure. Next slide. This is the how the master plan defines the 4 areas. And for an investor, at a glance, you would be able to see, so where do I fit in? If you are in the space of infrastructure, it is very clear there is opportunity in the country. If you're in the space of digital services and data management, or if you're in the space of digital skills, or if you're in the space of digital innovation and enterprise and digital business. And I just flagged out the fact that information security and cyber management, emerging technology have been taken care of, so that as someone who's not a Kenyan, you would have the comfort that there's a thinking towards making sure that if you are in this space, then what happens to your information? Is there cyber management? I'd like to give comfort for that. I've already said that the policy, legal, and regulatory framework and research and development are taken into account as we ask or invite people to come and invest in the Kenyan ICT sector. Next, please. I think it's just the same, but just to in regards, just a build up, and to say that for us as the government of Kenya, we are looking, as a government, we're looking at ICT connectivity throughout the whole country, and so open up the whole country for business. We are looking at positioning and managing e-government services in Kenya. We are looking at developing a digitally skilled workforce and with ethical practices and collaboration. I think I just wanted to, through this slide, I just want to emphasize again the fact that we are very open to collaborate with other partners and players like academia, industry, which is both local and foreign. Next slide. This is just, I think this is a run through when a deeper dive into every pillar. So just go next. Yeah, just go next. Go next. Go next. So I have summarized the areas of investment in 4. There is opportunity, especially for last mile deployment of ICT infrastructure and metros in Kenyan towns. There is opportunity in training on digital skills, considering that Kenya is at the threshold of the future of work. And currently the government is running a program called Jitume, and through Jitume, we are helping the youth to improve their proficiency and also know how to bid for work and deliver quality work so that they are part of the digital workforce and earning from their time online. There is also opportunity for investment in solutions such as security surveillance and all these areas which require, as I said, ICT is an enabler. So we enable different sectors, and of course there is need for ICT solutions in the different sectors. And then there is investment opportunity in innovation hubs. And this is because we have a lot of Kenyans who are ideating, and sometimes they would want to be connected with funds or financial support. So that opportunity exists. Next.
Yeah, and to be winding
so
up.
In terms of impact, this is my last slide. In terms of what we're looking at is anyone can plug in any of these areas. You can plug into smart government, into smart schools, smart villages, smart healthcare. But all these, this slide just represents the possible areas that an investor would be able to be looking at. I think with that, I say thank you.
Thanks, Lillian. I think for the benefit of time, let's go straight to the next presenter from Konza.
Okay, thank you. My name is Engineer Sang. As I start this presentation, thank you for this opportunity about Konza Technopolis. I hope my screen is...
Yeah, we can see, proceed.
Okay, thank you. So
make it on presentation mode, then proceed.
Yes, okay, thank you. So Konza Technopolis is part of the Kenya Vision 2030 flagship project. And the main purpose of this city is basically seeing Kenya transform into a newly industrialized middle-income country and providing a high quality of life. And so as part of this vision, Konza was established for this specific purpose. Now, it's also aligned to the Agenda 2063, Africa, on the Africa we want. And I'll go into the deep areas of investment in priority areas in tourism, agriculture, livestock, and business process offshoring and IT-enabled services that Konza is offering. For us who have not had a chance to know where Konza is, as mentioned by the speaker, it's 70 kilometers from Nairobi city. It's built on a 5,000-acre piece of land. And on the left side, we can see the whole master plan city. With the center, we can see the phase 1 and 2, which is currently ongoing. And we hope to have over 1.5 trillion in investment and having a population of about 240,000 at full build as fast as the smartest city. It's also important to note, as part of its location, Konza is located and surrounded by 3 counties, that is Machakos, Kajiado, and Makueni. And within this buffer zone, which is a 10 kilometers radius from Konza city, we are having a joint planning by the 3 county governments in conjunction with the city to ensure that the city and its environs is well master planned. Our mandate as Konza Development Authority, Konza Technopolis Development Authority, is basically to develop the Technopolis as a globally competitive smart city by creating an enabling environment through ICT for social economic development. And so in so doing, the environment we've created will ensure that we have a very competitive area for which investors can come and set up their various businesses. In light of this, we have key core clusters, that is ICT and ICT-enabled services, life sciences and engineering, anchored on R&D, education, and commercial development. So this is the authority that is in charge of the whole city. So on the first phase of the project, which entails the first infrastructure scope, we have various bands for offices, life sciences, residential, university, and mixed-use bands. And so far, we are about 97% complete on the same. We've been constructed about 42 kilometers of roads, utility tunnels of 6 kilometers. We've done power supply. We have a substation from Ketraco, which is at a 400, 132, 66 kV substation that supplies sufficient power, as well as a water treatment plant and a wastewater reclamation facility within the 400 acres, as shown in this illustration. The various scopes of the current project, which I'd like to take note as the earlier speaker from Sachet, this was funded, supported by the Italian government. I note one of the projects that was mentioned by Cristiana Portale from Sachet has been key in this particular investment, which entails the various facilities as listed here. So for the wastewater reclamation facility, we about a capacity of 6 million liters. For the water treatment, we have about 7.5 million liters per day storage. And we have landscaping, electrical, and public utilities within the infrastructure that has been completed. This is just an example
for
of
the sake of time, I want to
substation
focus on
that we have.
the specific areas of investment, because I think we're almost running out of time.
Yes, so
Yes.
I'll go straight to now the areas of investment. And we have the different categories on ICT and ICT-based products, services, life sciences, and I'll go into the specific ones. So the opportunities that we have, especially on ICT and ICT-enabled services, include assembly of tech devices, software and hardware development, R&D centers and biotech center innovation centers, and BPOs. On life sciences and medical facilities, we have opportunities for investors who have cutting-edge technology for hospitals, telemedicine, and R&D centers, as well as the opportunities under our pharmaceutical parks. On sports and entertainment and recreational facilities, we have the opportunities for hotels and restaurants, theme parks, amusement centers, sport facilities, including golf course and sports complex and esports. And we are also putting up what we call the digital media city, which is about 65 hectares of land where we are putting up, we have investment opportunities for animation studios, filming production and photography, TV, and broadcasting. On agri-research and agri-technology and agro-processing, basically we're looking at urban agriculture, agricultural research centers of excellence, and manufacture of agricultural equipment and devices within Konza. And on the space of transport and logistics within this current city, as I've shown earlier on, we have opportunities in enhanced public services, including parking structures, commercial, fueling station, hybrid stations for buses, BRT systems, maintenance storage facilities, as well as investments within our drone zone and transit hub. When we go to the manufacturing area, as shown in the master plan, we have opportunities to put up warehouses, high-tech manufacturing and assemblies for electric vehicles, as well as robotics. In education, we have an area of about 420,000 meters squared for education, and we are supporting the establishment of various multiple university campuses and colleges, and shared facilities for development, including laboratories and administration buildings, as well as facilities for schools and research facilities. Lastly, on our innovation ecosystem, we have opportunities for participation in our innovation ecosystem, investment for innovators, specifically with regard to venture capital. Now, what is this backed on? As mentioned earlier on, we have the digital superhighway, which has been mentioned as one of the key areas, with the 100K fiber optic within Kenya, 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots, and 1450 innovation hubs, which are all ensuring accelerated automation and digitization of government core services. And this is facilitated through our national data center. And just to justify why we know Kenya is a leading place to invest in ICT, from statistics, we can clearly see in leading sectors such as financial services and telecoms and agri-tech, we have about 170 plus organizations that support green entrepreneurship, 11% of which come from the US. And I'll just mention in summary that Kenya has one of the key areas in ICT. In ease of doing business, we ranked 56 out of 190 in 2020, and in the Global Innovation Index, 77 in 2020. And we have 2% of our GDP allocation to the Kenya Research Fund. So we have quite a bit of Kenya being one of the most innovative spaces, with 49.5 million internet subscribers, 67% on broadband percent as of January 2023. In terms of mobile, internet. We have networks at with speeds of 20.41 megabits per second, and fixed internet at 9.6 Mbps, with about 10.15 million users on social media platforms. And Kenya is known for being the home of mobile innovation. Further to this, what we guarantee investors in ICT space? One, in terms of a workforce of about 24.99 million, we have the median age of about 19.6 years, literacy of 82%. And this perhaps shows the capacity, both human capital, to be able to support investments, whether it is in the BPO environment, which we have Kenya as being Africa's BPO gateway. And that include, as mentioned earlier, we have about 6 undersea cables that traverse Kenya, and we are the home to the first data center certified in Africa for green building by LEED. And we have various partners as shown. So in terms of big data, Konza is one of the places to invest in. So finally, I'd like to welcome to Kenya, Connect 254 to the world. Asante, thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. I think the questions can be directed to the chat's message which have been put there. There's a contact which has been shared there. So I believe this is the end of our presentation on this session. I think we should stay on and wait for the rest of the other teams to finish the sessions, then it'll be directed back to the plenary for the final meeting. Thanks again for your time.